E hika mā tēnā tātou. Tēnā tātou kai mua te hui a tau o te runanga nui o Ngāti Porou. Ko wai tēnei, ko herewini te koha ahau, ko tutu moaki o tō tāua runanga nui. I'm grateful for the chance to provide you with a brief summary of the performance of the Runanga Nui from my perspective as its Chief Executive for the year 2016-2017. If I speak firstly to the financial highlights or financial performance of the Runanga Nui parent, and when I say parent, just by way of brief explanation, we have a number of entities within the Runanga Nui group. The parent is the overarching board, and under the board, the chief executive and the operations that I oversee directly. And either side of that, we've got our commercial operations and subsidiary, the holding company, and we've got our other subsidiaries, the Cultural Development Trust, Toitu Ngāti Porou, and Ngāti Porou Hauora, which is responsible for delivering health and GP services on the East Coast from Potikirua down to Kaiti. So I'm going to focus in specifically on the parent part of that whole arrangement. In terms of the financial performance headlines for the 2017 year, I'm pleased to report that we have seen a concerted drive to achieve reductions in our overall cost of operation. That's been an important requirement of my board and my management team and I, and we've worked to reduce costs during the course of the year. So in comparison to 2016, our operating costs and our operating deficit for the year has been reduced by $1.7 million compared to the previous year. So our operating deficits as a group or at the parent level have sat at around $6 million in 2015 and in 2016, and are down to $4.3 million for the 2017 year. Now, these are still deficit figures. They are largely absorbed by way of the annual dividend paid to the parent by its commercial holding company. But our challenge is to move from those operating deficit figures and be into surplus within the next 18 to 24 months. So we are seeing the expenditures come down, as I say, by $1.7 million in the year gone. We are seeing our bank debt levels reduce. And so, for example, when I joined the organisation in October 2015, the parent had bank debts of $10.6 million. We've now gotten those down to $9.3 million. So they're heading in the right direction. There's a lot of work to be done to keep chipping away at the level of debt and to strengthen the overall financial base of the parent and its operations. So we've got more cost cutting ahead of us in the current year through to 2018. I have an operational target to further reduce costs by at least another $1 million and further retire bank debt along the way. And at this stage, I'm fairly confident that we're on track to do that and to be into operating surpluses in the following year by 2019. You can't achieve those kinds of bank debt reductions and cost-cutting measures without some impact occurring elsewhere within the operation. So this year, for example, is the first year that the board has not provided for financial assistance to Ngāti Porou Hauora, to our primary healthcare service provider on the East Coast. And the real impact of that was felt in January this year with the loss by fire of the Tiki Tiki Clinic and the health services based at Tiki Tiki. In previous years, we probably would have moved fairly quickly to open up a line of credit for Ngāti Porou Hauora to resume a clinic and services at Tikitiki. This year, however, given the financial reductions, cost reductions we're pursuing, and that we are reducing, not growing bank debt, we've had to do the hard yards, and the Tikitiki and Rangitukia communities have had to endure service arrangements at Pretoria and at Te Araroa instead of a replacement to the clinic. So there are real and practical costs and consequences that come from our stronger financial discipline and our targets to reduce our debt and spending over time. So we are under no illusions about the real cost of those measures as we go through, but we do think it's in the long-term interests of the Runanganui and group and its performance for Ngāti Porou to be operating from a stronger financial base across all parts of the group, including the parent. In terms of what we've been able to do and support Ngāti Porou at large to do for themselves, I'm particularly pleased on the work we've supported in the marae and hapu space. But we've seen another $1 million plus granted to and placed into the hands of our marae committees to further their own development activities as marae and as hapu. Alongside that, we've kicked off the Reo Ake o Ngāti Porou action plan this year, starting with helping hapu and our taurehere to select and support their reo champions to coordinate all of their reo activities on the ground. And we also have other funds in place to support that work. Also in the reo space, we've worked with Radio Ngāti Porou, and I'm really looking forward to the work they're doing to create an online resource and archive, which will bring a lot of their recordings and videos of our best speakers at the marae, hapu and iwi level, and make those available to Ngāti Porou for our own use in learning, retaining and passing on our reo and tikanga within our families, within our hapu and communities. A big part of the year gone has been to complete the negotiations with the Crown on the taku taimoana deed for hapu with the Crown. This has been a prolonged process, and we were really glad to see that get wrapped up this year. However, as it was wrapping up, the whole country was heading into a general election, and so a priority for the Runanganui in the coming months will be to make sure that the new government carries on where the previous government left off, which was that the last government ratified the deed, the taku taimoana deed, and gave commitments to get an Act of Parliament passed so that the deed would have teeth under the law. So that's the remaining step. We will use all of our mechanisms, all of our influence to get the support of the new government to complete all of that work, so that the hapu trusts that have ratified the deed can get on with the business of managing and planning about the best use of their own taku taimoana and fisheries resources. So we look forward to seeing how that shapes up and gets resolved in 2018. In the Whanau Oranga social services space within Ngāti Porou East Coast, again, our team there worked with over 3,000 individuals and families on various social support needs that presented for those families and clients during the year, spanning a whole range of 20-odd programs and services from new parents and young babies through to education and employment programs, youth services programs, and a whole range of others, including restorative justice programs as well. These are all areas of social support that government agencies no longer directly deliver to our families at home, and so we make sure that those opportunities are kept and are delivered by Ngāti Porou to Ngāti Porou. During the course of the year, we also confronted and put the spotlight on some issues that are not comfortable for our whānau and communities to look into, including the growing prevalence of P within many of our households at home, and also a lot of the vulnerability factors that are leading to youth mental health, and in some instances, regrettably during the course of the year, youth suiciding at home in Ngāti Porou. These are uncomfortable and confronting issues, but they need to be brought to our hui, put in front of our whānau and community so that we can look at them and be clear and supportive of how we tackle these issues collectively. The Whanau Oranga team, they work hard for us on the front line, but they would be the first to acknowledge that it's an ongoing requirement to look long and hard at our services, the quality and relevance of what we are doing, and make sure we keep improving those services to our families and communities. So in the year ahead, I will be working with our management team in our social services space to review and improve our services to our families and communities at home. These services are important, and we need to make sure they continue to be of good quality and accessible to our families in some of the remotest parts of the country. The final part of my report to you is on the completion of the consultation and submissions process for the Runanganui's Trust Deed Review. That kicked off in September of last year. It included 2 rounds of consultation, both within the Ngāti Porou Rohe and with our Taurehere Ropu, and even small delegation engaging with Taurehere in Australia. And all of that process has been wrapped up and will be brought back to Ngāti Porou by way of the annual general meeting on the 25th of November, where our board will give its view and recommendations on everything that's been gathered up through that process. The trust deed really is the constitutional document that guides the governance and the voting process and all of those elements that underpin the Runanganui on behalf of all Ngāti Porou. So it's an important document, and we wanted to test Ngāti Porou views on elements that could be improved on or changed within the trust deed, and we got a lot of feedback. From my point of view, some of the most important feedback we got really wasn't about the trust deed. It was about Ngāti Porou members really challenging this organisation and my team to lift its game in terms of engagement with Ngāti Porou, in terms of getting quality and timely information out to Ngāti Porou, at home and away from home, in our various Taurehere arrangements, and to other districts where our Ngāti Porou people are living but are nonetheless interested in the affairs of home. And so part of my work brief for the year coming will be to see through on those challenges, to lift our game in terms of getting out there, improving our quality of info, and the ways in which we can get that into the hands of our Ngāti Porou beneficial members wherever they may be. I will leave that to my governors to give me the instructions on how the trust deed itself is to be changed, and how that will be brought back to Ngāti Porou for formal votes and decisions to be taken on those changes. But in the meantime, there's been enough meaty feedback through the process to me and my team to get on with improving our engagement with Ngāti Porou across the motu. Apart from that, please take the opportunity to read the full annual report. For those who can attend the hui a tau on the 25th of November at Hauiti Marae at Uawa. We look forward to seeing you there, and if you can't be there in person, please either check into the live stream that'll happen on the same day at the AGM, live, while the AGM is running, or on Radio Ngāti Pro, who will broadcast the AGM on their frequencies. Hoi anō, kanui tēnā nōku I tēnei wā, hei te hui a tau pia ka tūtaki tātou. Hei konara.